Welcome to Dark Waters, where we dive into the supernatural, the strange, and the stories that send chills down your spine. Today, we're taking you to a quiet, unsuspecting town, a place where the water itself holds ancient secrets, and a curse that waits patiently in the shadows. This is the Blackwater Plague. Our story begins in a small, close-knit town on the edge of nowhere. It's the kind of place where people leave their doors unlocked, where neighbors greet each other on the streets, and where everything seems safe. But that was before a strange black liquid seeped into their water supply. A liquid dark as ink, with an oily sheen that sparkled under the sunlight, almost like it was alive. People in the town started noticing unusual symptoms soon after. At first, it seemed innocuous, just a few cases of an intense, insatiable thirst. But this thirst was unlike anything they'd ever experienced. No matter how much water they drank, they could never feel fully quenched. And then, there was the strange fixation with darkness. People started avoiding the daylight, retreating into the shadows of their homes, growing fearful of even the smallest slivers of sunlight streaming through their windows. But that was just the beginning. For some, the symptoms advanced to something darker, something far more dangerous. They began to feel an overwhelming urge to immerse themselves in water, to be fully submerged. Bathtubs, wells, even rain puddles called to them with an intensity they couldn't resist. As the town watched in horror, more and more people found themselves drawn to the cursed lake at the edge of the forest. And that's where our protagonist, a young single mother with a fierce determination to protect her child, comes into the story. She's the kind of woman who's never backed down from a fight, who spends her early mornings jogging by that same lake, taking in the morning air and gathering strength for the day. But lately, she's noticed something unsettling about that water. A thick, dark film has started appearing on the surface, swirling and shifting as if it has a life of its own. She knows she should probably avoid it, but there's something hypnotic about it, a pull that she can't quite shake. She convinces herself it's harmless, a natural phenomenon, something easily explained away. But then, the sickness comes for her neighbors. The same people she used to see every day in the diner, the ones who sat at the counter with their coffee and small talk, start disappearing one by one. Their homes go dark, empty, their lives seemingly erased overnight. Her daughter, a curious and bright-eyed little girl, begins asking questions she can't answer. Why is everyone so thirsty, Mama? Why does no one come out in the daylight anymore? And worst of all, why do they keep going to the lake? She has no answers, but she knows one thing for certain. There's something wrong with the water. And if she wants to protect her child, she has to figure out what. Digging through old town records, she uncovers something unsettling. Centuries ago, this lake wasn't a place for recreation or fishing. It was something else entirely, a site used for ancient rituals, a place where sacrifices were made to appease an entity the townspeople called the Blackwater God. They believed that only through sacrifice could they ensure the town's survival, that only by feeding the lake could they keep the darkness at bay. But what if those sacrifices had left something behind? Something that had been lying dormant, waiting in the depths of the lake, feeding on the fear and desperation of the people above. The mother knows she's running out of time. She tries to rally her neighbors, to warn them of the lake's curse, to convince them to join her in trying to cleanse the water and free the trapped spirits. But her pleas fall on deaf ears. Those who haven't been affected by the sickness dismiss her warnings as the ravings of a desperate woman. And those who have, well, they're too far gone. So she makes a decision. With her daughter in tow, she prepares to leave the town. to escape the curse, to put as much distance as possible between her family and that dark, haunting lake. She knows it's a choice that feels like defeat, but she's done fighting battles that can't be won. As they prepare to leave, her daughter tells her about a strange dream she's been having. "I saw a girl, Mama. She was drowning in the lake, but she looked like me." The mother's heart skips a beat, but she brushes it off as just a nightmare. They've both been through so much. Of course they're having strange dreams. But as they stand at the edge of the lake for what she believes will be the last time, something catches her eye. She looks down into the water and sees not just her own reflection, but faces. Countless faces, ghostly and pale, pressing up against the surface, their eyes empty and desperate. And there, in the center, is a face she recognizes. Her own. A horrible realization dawns on her. This isn't just a curse on the lake or the town. This is a curse on her family, a bloodline bound to the Blackwater. Somehow one of her ancestors had been part of those ancient sacrifices, a life offered up to appease the Blackwater god. And now, centuries later, the curse is calling her back, demanding its due. She stares at her daughter, her beautiful, innocent daughter, and realizes the terrible truth. Her child is also tied to this curse. It's in their blood, a fate they can't escape. And no matter how far they run, it will follow them. With a heavy heart, she knows what she has to do. She leads her daughter back to the car and tells her to wait. She tells her she'll be back soon, that she's just going to say goodbye to the lake one last time. She tells her not to follow. And as her daughter waits in the car, watching, she sees her mother walk toward the lake, step by step, disappearing into the water. She watches as her mother's silhouette fades beneath the surface, leaving only ripples and silence. The town is quiet again. The curse is satisfied. For now. That was the Blackwater Plague, a story of an ancient curse that reaches across centuries, binding bloodlines and demanding sacrifices. Sometimes the horrors we face aren't monsters or ghosts, but fates written in water and shadow, haunting us from the inside. Thank you for joining us on Dark Waters. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a review or sharing it with someone who loves the thrill of the unknown. Until next time, remember, some waters run deeper than we can see. And sometimes, they're looking right back at us.